Hello, welcome to another episode of the Project Purple podcast. I'm Dean Overley, founder and CEO of Project Purple, and we have another interview for you coming up with two very special guests. I love when we have multiple guests on the podcast after a few quick updates. So as we record this, we're just starting Q2. I had to think about that. That's pretty scary. But 2022 was a record year for us, and we just want to thank everyone who made it so special for us to make it such a record year for us. Right now, we're into Q2 for 2023 and things look awesome. Most of our spring races are actually full. Most of our fall races, our major world marathon major races like New York and Chicago are full as well. I think we have a couple spots left for Chicago, which is crazy, 125 runners. We still have spots for our Berlin Marathon team, and we have so many other great races happening in the fall and in the summer as well, from Twin Cities to Detroit. So if you're interested in running with us this year, feel free to check out our website, projectpurple.org, learn more about all the great races that we have. We also added a bunch of half marathons recently as well in the spring and in the fall. For those locally who live here in the Connecticut area, coming up on June 5th, we've got our annual Charity Golf Classic. If you're a golfer, we still have some foursomes available. If you own a business and would love to get involved and sponsor the event, we have plenty of sponsorship opportunities available as well. For more details on that, feel free to check out our website, projectpurple.org. Also, be on the lookout for our virtual events as we continue to embrace our virtual series of events. We just came off our Purple Patties in March, and we've got our Dino's Double coming up in June. So to learn more about those as well, check out our website, projectpurple.org. For everything Project Purple, make sure you follow us wherever you are on social, and feel free to visit our website, which I've mentioned maybe 13 times already, projectpurple.org. Without any further ado, let's meet our guest today. And I'm super excited. I just talked all about what we've done in the past. This year is going to be really special for us because we are launching a new concept, and I've got Beth Wadden, account manager at Over the Edge, and Sean Fleming, growth and strategic partner with Over the Edge, here today at the Project Purple podcast. We are launching, this is official, folks. We are launching Over the Edge with Project Purple in two key markets for us, one in Lincoln, Nebraska, and the other one here closer to home in Hartford, Connecticut in the fall. And while Lincoln's happening in August, late August, which is almost the fall, and Connecticut is happening in September, mid-September. So welcome to the Project Purple podcast, Beth and Sean.
Thank you.
So this is a little bit different because we're kind of announcing this concept. And what I wanted to do here on this podcast is really to give our audience, and we've got a pretty vast audience, people from all walks of life, participants, survivors, fighters. I want to kind of bring to the audience what Over the Edge is. So we've just teed it up, and everyone's probably like, well, what's Over the Edge? What does Over the Edge really mean? You guys are the experts. You guys live, sleep, eat Over the Edge. You guys have been at it for a really long time. So first, let's talk about what Over the Edge actually is, and then we'll go into somewhat of a history, and then we can I've got some questions. We can like talk a little bit about each event as well. So I don't know who we want to go to first. Ladies first, maybe. Beth, we'll go to you first.
Well, thank you very much. Over the Edge, what is it? We are a rappelling events company based out of Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada, focusing mainly on nonprofit events. So we've got a bunch of different nonprofit groups, some of the bigger ones that you might know, like, Special Olympics, Boys and Girls Clubs, but all the way down to new up-and-coming grassroots organizations. They're all running an Over the Edge event with us. We have about 110 this year. In Canada and the US. So we're not just staying where we came from. We've gone south of the border as well. And pretty well what I do, is support those groups to purchase our event services in hosting an event, finding event success, so sponsorship, recruitment, all that fun stuff. It is a peer-to-peer event, so participants will register to raise money in order to go over the edge, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about what you're asking your participants to do here later. But yeah, that's really what we do. We also send out certified rope access technicians to run the thing for you. We do do not expect you to know how to run a rappelling event. And that's really the purpose of myself, Sean, and our entire technical team to help you do that. So it's kind of a crazy thing to do, but it's really, really awesome. And we're super excited to come and do it with you in Hartford and Lincoln.
Awesome. I can't wait. I can't wait. So I know, Sean, you're newer to the team because you joined late last year. In your experience, how do you define what you guys do?
Yeah, great question. And thanks for having us. We are a very unique and exclusive company when it comes to fundraising, right? We're not your typical run, walk, gala, golf tournament. It's just thinking a little bit outside of the box. Those are all great events. We just bring something a little different to the table. And we allow, as Beth said, it's a peer-to-peer platform that gives not-for-profits the opportunity to do something different and rappel off of the building to raise money for their cause. So, how many people have actually rappelled off a skyscraper? Not a lot. So when you have that opportunity to connect with your organization and your not-for-profit and being able to help them do that, it's a pretty fun and unique event.
It's awesome. And I'll talk about my experience a little bit later with it. So question for either one of you, where did this concept start? Because you guys have been at this for quite some time, but I'd love to know the backstory. Like, was someone just sitting at a bar? Well, maybe not a bar, maybe a coffee shop, and just said, hey, I've got this idea. Let's just rappel down the buildings. I know there's a lot of people in the community and in the organization that have a rappelling background. So I don't know if it started there somewhere, but I'd love to hear kind of like, where did this whole concept start?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Beth.
Sure. Yeah, I'll take this one. So it came out of the mind of our CEO, Paul Griffith, in 2008, actually, is when we started Over the Edge. But before that, he and a group of other outdoor enthusiasts in Halifax, Nova Scotia, wanted to find a way to have a creative fundraiser and just put together an Over the Edge event for Easter seals. I believe it was later sold to them, a different event name for them now, and they've been kind of hanging on to that in his license here in Halifax for quite some time. But since that was so successful and so much fun, he really wanted to take it and bring it to as many people as possible. And it just kind of ran from there, finding a lot of certified rope access technicians in the States to grow down here and bringing on fundraising professionals and sales teams. And it really just sort of snowballed from one really neat idea to start fundraising for a local nonprofit into this great thing that you see here today.
So wild. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall, though, to as they say, to just see that initial conversation. I'm just I consider myself an entrepreneur. So, people always ask me the question, like, why Project Purple? Like, what made you do the running? That, and I just always am very curious because clearly, okay, so fast forward now, we're in 2022. You guys have had this long experience of doing these events. I think you guys have done, raised over like 150 million, I think, combined since inception. I was reading somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Which, is hard to fathom, because I think the other thing that I think I don't want to discredit here is that you guys don't, what's the proper term here? It's not as if there's a million of these going on every weekend, right? And something that, and I know we might be putting the cart before the horse here a little bit in this conversation, but, with working with you guys, there are only a certain amount of permits per area geographically that can be used, right? So again, to think about that number at 150 million over that time frame is an insane amount of money helping charities do the great things they do, versus people. I don't want people to think and this is okay. I'm selfishly going to sell us here. It's not as if this is going to be done the week after us. So if you don't come to Nebraska or come to Hartford, odds are you're going to have to wait another year to do this. So you want to get on this, and we also know, which is now we're talking out loud here, which is kind of crazy, that there's only a certain amount of people that can go down the rope on the day.
Yeah.
That's right.
So it is really kind of this special thing. And as we talk out loud here, it's pretty wild. Like if you really think about it, right? Like it's not something that, again, you can't do it every day. And there is, if you have two ropes, I think you guys have said it's like maybe 100 people in a day, 92 people in one day, So we're not talking about millions and millions and millions of people.
No, it's a pretty exclusive opportunity. And although it's not something that you can do every day, it is something that a lot of people are actually eligible to do as well. So folks who wouldn't really have access to an opportunity like this, I mean, I've spent time on the roof chatting with grandmothers. I'm part of a team of grandmothers planning to go over the edge. I've met kids in their mid to late teens getting to go over the edge, individuals with disabilities, individuals who are beneficiaries of the groups that get to do this as well. So just all different walks of life get to participate in this event. It is very exclusive. So of course you want to raise your funds in a timely manner to get onto the schedule. But it is something that's open to a lot of people, even though it is really exclusive. So it's such a neat opportunity.
So awesome. So let's talk about the actual event itself. So, and maybe we'll start from the process of, okay, a building is identified for the particular charity. So the weekend comes, and what does that look like? So maybe just walk our audience through that just to give them an idea, because clearly people know, like if we're doing a marathon, they know they've got to, get from point A to point B, 26.2 miles, whether they're going to run, crawl, walk, jog, that's really up to them. This is a little bit different.
Yeah, thanks. The event starts off, obviously, when you're talking about a rappelling event, it's all about safety at the same time, right? So safety, safety, safety. So our event would start off with our three technicians who run an event. They would show up to a building and they would have their first safety meeting with the building and our volunteers. They'd walk through the building, making sure that everything is where it should be. And when we had the building vetted, it looks the same. So from there, they go on and they rig the building with the rappelling gear, and that takes probably anywhere from 2 to 3 hours to make sure it's ready to go. They then obviously do a couple of rappels and make sure everything's safe. And the particular events that we're doing with you guys, Dino, is our signature event, 2-day event. We have then the opportunity to do a VIP/media rappel later on that afternoon. Right, so that's where you guys and the local media get involved with radio, TV, local mayor, some CEOs, some big companies, whoever might be invited to this 2-hour spot that comes over and they can rappel. And it's a great opportunity to bring awareness to your cause, to bring awareness to what you're doing in the community and how you're impacting the community. And then again, these people get to rappel off of a building. So it's pretty unbelievable when you think about it. I mean, you were there in Connecticut and you saw what the Boys and Girls Club did. And I think the experience itself is really something that people need to experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say from my experience, you were like, hey, if you want to come down and check it out, I was like, okay, I didn't even think I was going to rappel that day. But then when you walked me through the whole process, and I was like, all right, what do I expect? And to be honest with you, I don't think I told you this that day. I was like, I'm not doing this. Like, this is crazy. I'm not doing it. But then when you're like, hey, you ready, man? You want to go up? I was like, all right, yeah, what the hell? What are the chances I could ever do this, right? And I grew up in Bridgeport, so I was like, I know that building. It's so iconic. I'm like, I got to do this, right? But then going through the safety briefing, down below, getting rigged up and everything. Cause I didn't know, like, I was like, all right, how does this thing work? Like what's going to happen here? So let's just talk about that process. Like, so when participants arrive, and I know it's a little bit different, clearly I came on that Friday to do the VIP and media, which is a little bit different. But if let's say you're a participant and you're slotted in at the 10 o'clock hour, because I know it starts a little bit earlier, but let's say you're at that 10 o'clock hour, what's that look like? Like how early do they have to arrive, and like what's the process till they get to the edge? Because the edge is probably the easiest. Well,
the edge is sometimes the easiest part for sure, but also at the same time the hardest. So again, day 2 starts. We talk about safety. The first thing we do is we have a safety meeting. right? To make sure everything is where we left it when we pulled the ropes the day before. So participants start to show up around 8 o'clock, right? It's a full 8 hours rappelling. They show up at the registration desk, make sure that their waivers are signed, their paperwork's in order. From there, a volunteer is going to take you over to the staging area, where they're going to get all geared up like we did with you, right? Get your harness, your helmet, all the jewelry, as some of our technicians would call it, that get put around your neck and clipped onto you. So again, that's stage 2 at staging. So registration, staging, safety check at staging. We then go up to the roof, where we're going to go off of a practice wall, right? So you're going to get hooked in. You're going to be checked again with your gear with our technicians, making sure that everything is where it should be. And that practice wall is going to get the participants comfortable in being, leaning back like you're going over the edge, but feeling comfortable, right? That's the biggest thing that they need to do. They need to feel comfortable to do this. So once that happens, it's probably about anywhere from a 20 to 50 foot walk to the tripod that's set up to go over the edge. You're then hooked in, and you're coached the whole way through this, right? Our technicians are incredible. They're having a conversation with you, trying to keep your mind maybe off it or talk to you about what's going on, whatever the participants talking about. Our technicians are making them feel comfortable. You're hooked in, and then you lean back a bit. You were there, and you start to do the whole rappel, right? You go over the edge. So, and again, the whole time our technicians are in control, right? If you don't feel comfortable and you're a quarter of the way down or halfway down or just the first couple steps down, they can come and get you. They can make sure that you're down safely. So, I can't stress safety enough in these events, but once you're going down, you're having a look around. I remember going down, we were side by side in that building in Connecticut, right? The views that you had was incredible of the city. And, you're just edging your way down, step by step. And, if you would have asked me a year ago, do I think I was going to be doing something like this? Done it a couple times already, I would have said no. So I'm excited for your supporters to try something different, and for you to be able to bring on new supporters who aren't runners, right? To do something different. So, so that's it in a nutshell, right? But at the same time, when you get to the bottom, there's a celebration, right? You just went over the edge for this charity that you support, and there's a celebration. So it's a big part of it too.
Yeah, it's so awesome. And I think to echo what you just said, Sean, I mean, so I didn't know what to expect. And given my experience, like, I thought I was safe. Like the safety in my mind, that whole experience was never a question because, even from, the safety briefing and getting checked in and having, we had that microphone and, you're hooked up. So like if you have an emergency, the people at top or bottom can hear. Also the fact that there's the safety rope. And even when you get to the edge, I was still locked in to that third safety rope that, until they say, okay, I don't know the exact specifics, but it was like, okay, are you good now? Now you can go over the edge. And they release that last safety, the one safety rope that's connected to the apparatus. But again, you're hooked already into the safety line that is your main safety. And you have that, I think you guys call it the gas pedal, which allows you to go down and back. So, there was never, again, my point here is there was never a question of like, oh my God, like I'm not secure or I'm not safe. I think when we were done, I think I was clenching. So my stomach was tight. Like it was sore because I was so clenching my stomach so tight because I was just, I think internally just a little nervous and whatnot.
For a lot of these participants, they're doing it for the first time. Obviously there's repeat participants and repeat rappellers, but, Beth, what would you say? Probably 90% or maybe it was first time rappellers.
Yeah, for a lot of groups, I would say it's around the 90% range. Of course, we've got some folks that have really, really great return rates year over year. It's all about how you build a community within your organization and bring that to an event like this. But some people, if you're like myself, you will just get hooked on it, really. I didn't think I'd want to do it, but last year I made my rappels an even 10. I'm looking forward to making it an even 15 as soon as I can. So really, it's too fun. It's crazy, but it is safe the whole way. Dino, I love how you mentioned that you felt safe the whole time. And I think that's just a reflection of the staff that we have on these events. They are not just hobbyists. They are certified rope access technicians that are running this as a workplace at height. And they've really got the soft skills. They're such special people. They've got the soft skills too, to help you feel safe and comfortable and communicate with you the entire time so that you really know where you're at and what you're doing.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it any better, Beth, because I truly, that experience that I had in Bridgeport was phenomenal. Straight from, meeting the guy at the safety briefing, putting all the apparatus on, all the way up to, getting that training on that wall to that specialist, and just making me feel really, really comfortable because I was really, really nervous, but they could tell.
Big shout out to Daryl, Sarah, and Todd.
Yeah, they were awesome.
The tech team.
Yeah, they were awesome. They were awesome there in Bridgeport. So yeah, it's really a testament. And naturally, this is where I come back to, you guys been doing this from 2008. So, if you're really good at something, you're going to be in business for a long, long time. And naturally, the success you guys have had working with various charities, various causes, just speaks testament to, what you guys have built and helped build there, with regards to the event. So I got a couple questions here, and then we'll share where our audience can learn more, because, like, to your point, you guys do have other events throughout the country. I know on your website there's some information on there, and people can kind of take a look at. And there's many causes that you guys support. I mean, I know we're here to talk about Project Purple, but selfishly, I know you guys are helping a lot of great organizations do many great things. So, kind of a personal question here, and I know you guys kind of alluded to some of this, but how many rappels have each of you done individually? So we'll go to Beth first, because she just kind of gave a little bit of a hint to that. But if you look back since your inception of, working with Over the Edge, like, how many rappels have you done?
So it's been 10 for me. Hoping to make it to a couple more events this year to see how quickly I can make it to 15. With the very first one, actually funny you mentioned Todd earlier, the very first person to put me over the edge was Todd. Wow. So that was really great. That was off a 33-story building in Baltimore. It was quite an intense first go. I've done taller buildings and shorter buildings since, but really all of them. It doesn't matter if you're standing on the side of a 2-story house, you're going to feel a little uneasy if you're getting pretty close to the edge. But yeah, 10 and a happy 10 at that.
Wow. Sean, how many have you done?
Well, she's got me crushed there. I've been with the company for 5 months now, and I'm at 2. The last one I did, Dino, was with you, but the first one was the week before, downtown Boston at the Hyatt with Special Olympics, special event there as well. 13 years in a row they've done it with us.
Wow.
So yeah, 22 stories, and my first rappel ever. I was scared, but at the same time, I felt so safe, right? Like you said. And I hope to get in hopefully another 2 or 3 this year, depending on where I'm going from a travel standpoint. So Beth travels a little more than me with her role.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think both of you guys, that feeling though. So for those listeners, and I know we do a lot about running, right? And we've mentioned running in the opening there, and the feeling I had, I guess I can kind of relate a little bit to, like, crossing that finish line. Uh-huh. And there's been moments when I've crossed the finish line in various marathons where I'm like, oh shit, like, I can't believe I did that. And, like, it hits me like at like an hour later. And then there's been moments when you cross that finish line and you're like, man, that was freaking amazing, man. Sign me up. And let's do this again. And
I know the feeling. My first half marathon that I did, crossing that finish line, it was just such a rush, really, right? When you think about running that long for a cause, and you finished it, right? You think about, you have the anxiety of beginning it, and then to actually accomplish it. It's a great feeling, and I think it's probably very similar to the feeling that your participants will get when they go over the edge.
Absolutely, Sean, and I think it's actually even wilder because you're in that moment of rappelling and you're like, oh my God, like I'm rappelling, for me, it was like in Bridgeport, you're like, is it 17 or 18 stories? I don't know, but I'm really high up, and wow, I'm looking over at Sean and I'm like, well, I could see where I grew up, but like, that's like 7 miles away, like, holy cow, this is amazing. Like, holy cow, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And then you finish and you're like so pumped up, right? Like it's that endorphin rush at the end. And, I think, for the adrenaline junkies, they get that, right? But then you think about the mission, right? And we have this saying like, work harder, it's not chemo, and the other thing that comes into this is like, there's this fear, right? Like overcoming your fears and living this fulfilled life. And, sometimes you do have to take, get over the edge, not to be corny here, but of those fears to really achieve something pretty amazing. And I think that's what's so cool about your event here is that you get all of that in a very short period of time. And oh, by the way, for those listening, like you don't have to train 12, 16 weeks to do this.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And you don't have to, like that. And the impact is, the impact of what you're doing is as great or greater possibly because of the fundraising as you are doing another event, but you don't have that training. So I'm like, hey man, this is a no brainer. Like everyone who's done, everyone, because we always get complaints. Oh man, like I got to train 12, 16 weeks. I just don't think I have that. Well, hey, guess what? I've got an event you don't need to train for now,
Yeah.
So yeah. I love it. I think it's awesome. Question for both of you guys here. I got a couple left here. Long-term goals. Where do you guys see the organization long-term? What's the ultimate goal? Let's say if we go out 5, 10 years, where is Over the Edge?
Well, from my standpoint, we'll have more events. We're always looking for more events. I know Sean in Growth and Strategic Partnerships is agreeing with me here too. We're looking at more events and also looking at growing some other really fun products that we have on the horizon. I mean, we have just started to introduce Sky Race, which is actually an ascent. We have all the equipment for that. It is just as safe as the rappel. Of course, we're not in the business of doing unsafe things. That's how we've been around since 2008. So we don't do anything, although it seems crazy, we don't do anything actually crazy. So we do have that product that we're putting out this year. We've got a couple of people who have signed on to do that. Really, really excited to see how that works in the rotation of a traditional event this year. Of course, we've done it a few times before, but now it's really out there. It's available to everybody. And we're always looking for fun ways to bring other adventure sports into fundraising. So we are working on a few things behind the scenes as well. So 5, 10 years, I'd love to see more people and be able to touch more missions, and B, just a couple of interesting other options beyond the rappel itself.
Awesome.
Don, anything you want to add?
Yeah, well, I look after Canada here, and my goal is to grow Over the Edge here in Canada. We had an exclusive partner a few years ago, and now we've opened it up to basically a free market out there, and with obviously a certain amount of license available in each major city. So my goal and my vision is to have an Over the Edge event in every major city in Canada, and for us to be able to, as Beth said, touch other missions, touch other not-for-profits, and help them raise money here in Canada, and then obviously grow our base down in the U.S., where the majority of our accounts and our events are right now. But yeah, just more events, raising more money for not-for-profits, and we'll see where that goes. Corporately, we're getting involved more too, so you're not necessarily talking about raising money for not-for-profits, but there's an opportunity for us in this business to do some fun different things for corporations, for retreats. So that's been a focus on Over the Edge as well.
And of course, let's get to that 200 million goal. Let's go.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. And, if there are any corporations that are looking to tie in philanthropy and, a great team building, I know a pretty good charity that they can partner with. That's a selfish plug there for Project
I know
Purple.
a guy who knows a guy, right?
Yeah, we know a guy who knows a guy. And on that note, so we're excited. We're launching in Nebraska, in Lincoln, Nebraska. The dates are the 25th and the 26th, really the 26th for the general public. The 25th is our VIP and media day, our event at night, and then the 26th. But we're excited because we're going to be right in a great area, the Haymarket at the Graduate Hotel in Lincoln. I believe where that hotel sits, it's got like it's the highest point in Lincoln because of the geography or topography, I guess, of Lincoln. I think it's about 12 stories high, 11 stories, 10 maybe, somewhere in that range. I think it might be double digits.
Yeah, it's definitely double digits. It'll be a great rappel for your for the first event you guys are doing. It'll be incredible.
Yeah, and we're excited. Nebraska's been a great market for us. We've done a lot with the University of Nebraska Medical Center. They've got an amazing pancreatic cancer team. We help fund the first early detection or high risk early detection clinic in the Midwest. They're at UNMC a bunch of years back. So we've worked with the team really well. We've we hope to have them involved in that day and all the pomp and circumstance and just really looking forward to getting back to Nebraska with our own event. We used to do a 5K for a bunch of years, and then unfortunately the pandemic had to shift gears a little bit with that. So we're super excited to be back in Nebraska. And then locally here in the Hartford market, we'll be back around mid-September. I know we're waiting to finalize a date. But so we're super excited to be able to bring this to kind of our home community, which is interesting because for a long, long time, we never did anything in state. We launched our charity golf classic 3 years ago, to huge success. And we look forward to bringing more events here in the state since we have such a large following here in the state of Connecticut, since we're based in Connecticut. And I think, the great thing, and I think we mentioned this before we started hit record, with both of these events, I mean, it's really cool because just like we see with some of our marathon teams, we hope that our participants come in from the local area, but also from other areas that are easy to get to, right? Like Hartford is an hour and a half from Boston. It's an hour and a half from New York City, or an hour and 40 minutes from New York City. So we can pull people from all areas. Same with Nebraska. It's a pretty easy place to get to. So we hope people within the Project Purple community kind of come to Nebraska or come to Hartford. There's a lot of other things happening too, which is great too with these events. Like naturally you come in for the weekend, you rappel on that Saturday, and then you have the rest of the weekend to kind of explore and do things and have fun in those communities. So we're really looking forward to having you guys with us this year and really helping us get over the edge in terms of our goals here at Project Purple. You like how I put that in there, right? My last question for both you guys before we share with our audience where they can learn more about all the great things you're doing. What is your why? What is it that makes you do what you do? And we'll go ladies first. So Beth, you're up first.
Sure. I mean, my why, of course, is the people that we work with every day. They all have their own reasons, and I just love surrounding myself with passionate people. Helps me grow as an individual, and learning about all the different experiences that you can have in life. I love Over the Edge as a concept because it is something different for everybody. For folks who've never been in the position of the beneficiaries that they're raising funds for, it's an incredible empathy building experience, right? If you're raising money, say for your cause, being diagnosed is a really scary experience, and sometimes it's pretty uncertain. So being able to stand on the edge of that building and feel that same or similar feeling to someone just being diagnosed, it's a great way to build the empathy instead of just going to a gala, dressing up and giving money. And for folks who are beneficiaries, who are survivors, it's a great opportunity for them to showcase their strength and have something that they can be really proud of to show off to their friends and family right now. So the stories that I get every single day from the people that I am working with is really my why. It keeps me getting up and coming to work with a smile on my face.
Love it.
Yeah.
Great answer, Beth. Good answer. So my why outside of my family, when I go to work, is the organizations that we're having an impact on. Right? When I met you for the first time, bringing this event to your organization, and at the end of the day, seeing the impact that it's going to have on people at the bottom at the celebration party, right? So, would you say work harder? It's not chemo. That is, it's an incredible statement that you guys live by. The passion that the company has for philanthropy really drives me. Our people that Beth and I work with, all of them, they bring the same thing to work every day. So that's part of my why.
It's awesome. I'll leave you guys with this. I mean, it takes a special person to kind of do what you guys do, because there's a piece of selflessness, right? Like you're giving up energy and time to help other people. So I don't know if anyone's ever, shared that with you guys, because without you guys, without Over the Edge helping organizations raise 150 million, it doesn't happen, right? Like that concept, if it was never brought to table, and if there's not a team working behind the scenes to make these things click, to make them, go through, the support, that you guys provide, the resources that you guys provide, the opportunity to network, with other like-minded groups, speaks volumes. And that's something for me as a leader here, that I've been extremely impressed with your organization, very, very quickly, and how that opportunity, has created itself, within that group. I think I shared this, Sean, with Beth, one of the calls, I was like blown away. Like this other charity was just like sharing all the goods and services. And I've always said, like, hey man, there's no proprietary on any of this, right? Like, it's just a matter of making it. Now it's great that they shared that. Now we have to do the work, right? But there's something really special about that. And I've been around, now in this space about 13 years. You don't often see that. And I'm not trying to put down any of, anyone, but it's just pretty special. So I knew fairly quickly that this felt right. Sean, you had me repelling, like you had me sold. And then, after that first call, and just seeing all the great stuff you guys were doing with all these other charities and all the positive feedback, I was like, this is a no-brainer, man. We're going to blow this thing up, and it's going to be one of our top events, and very quickly in a couple years. So thank you guys for all you do. For not only us selfishly, but then all the other charities that you're impacting and creating a better world for a lot of people going through a lot of issues that deserve all the attention and all the great works that you guys are helping to do.
It's a big team. It's a big team here too. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So my last thing here, someone listening wants to learn more about Over the Edge. Maybe there could be another charity that's interested. Just don't come to Nebraska or Connecticut. Stay out of. No, I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. Where's the best place for someone to learn about Over the Edge? Because I know I've gone to the website a couple times. I think you guys have like a really cool map, an interactive map that shows like all the events throughout the country.
We do. Yeah. So that's overtheedgeglobal.com. We've got a list of upcoming events. We have links to schedule a call with Sean or with Jill, depending on where you are. And Jill is the counterpart to Sean, covering a couple of different areas there as well. So feel free to just browse the website, have a look. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter and LinkedIn as well. So by all means, look us up there. It's just Over the Edge on those platforms. Also, if none of that is your thing, you can also give us a call at 1-866-474-3776.
Awesome. And you guys are international too. So this is not just the United States. So for people listening in Canada, and I know that you guys have sprung up in other parts of the world as well on occasion, but mostly here in North America.
And I do have a little correction to make there. I did say the wrong number. It's 1-866-434-8776. I think I said 74. There's just too many sevens.
I love it. Beth and Sean, thank you for all you do. Thank you for coming on the Project Purple podcast. It's been awesome.
Thanks so much for having us. It's been great.
Thanks, Dino. Big thanks. And I want to do a quick shout out to Wayne Barnes, a family member who's just diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and he's battling it. So we appreciate everything that you're doing to help that help the disease. So thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Beth. That's a wrap of another episode of the Project Purple podcast. If you like what you hear today, feel free to share this episode. Make sure to follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure to follow us on YouTube. Till next time, please be safe. That's a wrap of another episode of the Project Purple podcast.